All right, guys, let's talk about the New York Rangers and what a train wreck of a season last season was. They got out of the gates so well. I'm pretty sure they were up near the top of the league in the first 15 games, and it all sort of fell apart. From there, they finished the season with 85 points, 6 points out of a playoff spot. And yeah, just not what the New York Ranger fans were sort of envisioning, I could imagine, after the season before. But, we move past that and we get on to the new season ahead of us. And we'll start to go through the 2025-26 lineup with you. So, Jaden, take us through it.
Yeah, so 1.5 mil to work with, so not many changes to be made in the future for them. You've got Panarin, Zabinajad, Miller, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Cooley, Radish, Parsonen, Carrick, Edstrom, Rempe, Perot, and Brodzinski as your forward group. Going on to defense, we have Adam Fox, Gavrikov, Borgen, Susi, Schneider, Varkanainen, and Fitzgerald. And then obviously your goaltenders are Shesterkin and Quick. A couple of depth pieces to note would be like Scott Morrow and Carey Terrence that they picked up in trades in the off season. So notable trades, obviously Chris Kreider going to Anaheim for Kerry Terrence that I just mentioned, and then just picks. And then obviously the next one was Keandre Miller going to Carolina, and that was Scott Morrow in return and some picks as well. Signings, obviously did the Keandre Miller signing just to get the extra year for Carolina, and then he's gone. You got Gavrikov who comes in at 7 million to replace him. You've got and Radish, also that depth piece, basically replacing Kreider, and then just some two ways and extensions. All in all, onto just notable outs for the team. Obviously, Miller, Kreider, and Zach Jones did not resign, and he was basically replaced by Scott Morrow, who was in the depth there. All in all, doesn't look good. They've also replaced their basically entire coaching bench. Thought I would note that too. Head coaches and assistant coaches have all changed, bringing back David Quinn, who used to head coach 2018 to 2021 as an assistant. But all in all, I am not, looking at good times for Rangers. Honestly, their depth in regards to the forward line is non-existent. Defense, it's alright, but they're lacking in regards to depth, I think. And obviously, Shesterkin. That's your big saving grace in this team. And the only other thing I would note is it is Panarin's last season on this contract, and he is 33. There's some old aging players on this team. That's my big concern, and I can't see it getting better. I don't know what your thoughts are on the team.
Yeah, yeah, it's worrying. I think the saving grace they've got going for them is obviously that goaltending tandem. We know how good Shesterkin is. Jonathan Quick has been absolutely unreal as a backup goaltender, considering his career looked like it was all over prior going to the Rangers. But yeah, that bottom six is really questionable. I almost feel like they've kind of got two fourth lines,
Yes,
and
yeah, that's what I see too.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, their top six is solid, depending on what top six turns up. Um,
Yep.
so like is the Binajad's regression going to continue? Lafreniere is he finally going to have a breakout season? Is he going to? Because he had a fantastic season before. I think 29 goals, 28 assists, and then all of a sudden comes out this season, and he's just not. I mean, the whole Rangers team was down, so you could sort of understand that, but it is a little bit frustrating from him because he finally looked like he was giving something, and then just fell back. Um, and that's my issue is that top six is going to be a massive part of this because they don't have the depth to sort of carry them over the line. They're going to need majority of that offense is going to have to come from that top six, and you just don't know what you're going to get from them. I mean, JT Miller was absolutely massive. That's another big one. They finally get the full season of him, not just the half a season that they had. So he could be a big piece to that puzzle to sort of really drive that top six. But yeah, like I don't mind their defense. I think their defense is quite solid. Gavrikov was a great pickup to replace Keandre Miller. I think he's a lot more solid as well. Keandre Miller was a good defender, like flashy at times, but I think defensively lapsed from time to time. But yeah, like big loss in Chris Kreider, uh, and not really getting a replacement for him either, is a big letdown. So you look at the team as a whole, and realistically, the only way I see this team improving is if that top six improves from what it did last season. If they get the same, or if it regresses even further, this team isn't coming close to playoffs.
Yeah.
I think Durkin would have to stand on his head for
Yeah,
them to
so,
even
so
come
my problem
close.
is like Zabinajad's been regressing last 3 seasons. Like he had good season, there's like less good, then it's a little bit less good again. The problem is his defense. Even in those seasons, it's like not the points he's putting up, it's also like how he's playing defensively. And that, like you said, this top six really is going to have to carry this team. It's really all on their shoulders, and you already got question marks about one of them. Lafreniere, can he step up to that really big role on the first line and carry? Panarin's 33. Does he regress at all? There are those questions. That my issue is they did 2 huge trades, and they brought in the 2 players they got aren't even in the rosters at all.
Mm.
As per these lineups, obviously, Morrow could come in as that 6D, but
I
as
think I think he will at least be a seventh
yeah,
defender, but yeah,
but
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 he's
it's like
not.
it's not this team's kind of built for playoffs to win the cup. It's
Mm.
you got the Panarins, the Zibanejad, the Shesterkins, Fox. Like it's built to be that team, and it's hard to see them even making the playoffs with this team. It's really going to come down to like a lot of carrying. If they get any injuries at all in the important names, like your backups, Jonathan Quick, who can be very lackluster at the best times, and
Mm.
obviously he keeps aging. So age is a thing also. So I just don't see, even if they make the playoffs, like I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I would see
it's
them losing to Carolina or New Jersey or someone else.
Washington. Yeah, they've got too many holes. I think, and like, I mean, who knows? We could be wrong. That bottom six might come out of nowhere and absolutely shock
Mm,
us. But I just don't look at that bottom six and think, oh, yeah, like that is a Stanley Cup winning
No,
bottom
you
six.
compare that third
Like,
line to like Florida's third line that won the cup. Like,
I mean, I think look, I'm going to be honest. I think that's pretty unfair to
I mean,
do
but that's what it
any.
takes. That's what it takes. That's what it
It is. I
takes.
mean, obviously they've won the last two, so they're clearly doing something right. But I mean, you compare this third and fourth line to, you know, I'd compare this third and fourth line to literally bottom of the league teams.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not I'm not even comparing this to, the wild card teams. I'm comparing this to bottom of the barrel. I just don't think this is a bottom six that is going to get you,
Yeah.
enough goals, enough points to sort of help
And my big concern with that
alleviate.
is like you could make excuses for it or like be a little bit more alleviated if they had cap space, but they do not.
No,
They do
they
not
got
have
nothing.
cap space. So like you can't add, a 2 million, third, fourth liner player for this team, and that's my big concern is like they can't add. They got draft picks for one of those trades. They're kind of in like rebuild mode because Panarin's last contract, Miller, Zabinajad, Trocheck, all 32, and that's like they're all in your top six. And like we said, this team has no depth, and there's no one really. making those steps. Like I like Cooley, Lafreniere is obviously that guy that's making that step. But
Mhm.
other than that, in regards to forward
They don't
line,
they don't have anyone coming through prospect pool. Like, don't shoot me. You've obviously got a couple of players that are there, but I don't think you've got any
yeah, yeah,
major players
yeah, I know
coming
what you're saying.
out of left field to just blow you away this season or even the next. So yeah, it's concerning if you're a Rangers fan, in my opinion. I think Mike Sullivan coming in. He struggled doing anything for the Pens. I just don't know he comes into this team and really changes them and turns them around and gets them back into the playoffs. Yeah, like I feel like this team to see anything major out of them is just going to have the performance of a lifetime from that top six. Shesterkin's going to have to carry, and that defense is going to have to be solid. So the best outcome I think for this team is going to be the defense and Shesterkin can just stand on their heads, keep every game to like they don't concede any more than 2 goals, 3 goals at most, and then just hope that their team can win games 2-1, 3-2, 2-1. Because I feel like if this team concedes 3 goals, they're probably losing.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of looking like that. And look, I don't mind the coaching changes in regards to you kind of had to do something to throw a wild card at the team like that could get you over the line because I don't think coaching from last year was going to do it. So at least they've done something in that regard. It's a big change. Obviously, they got a whole off season and whatnot to mesh in this new system now, and that's probably going to be one of the biggest keys is how the coaching handles it. A lot of experience on that coaching bench, and do they clash? Do they not? We'll have to wait and see. But I can't see it. Like best case scenario is wild card and then losing in first round. Like even if they make the playoffs, I can't think of a team that they beat. So concerning. They're in a weird space that needs to do retool rebuild, but trying to win the cup at the same time. They've signed Shesterkin, who's probably one of the best goalies in the league. Um, great signing and stuff, but the way the team's built is like, are you trading him in a year or two? If
Hmm.
Zabinajad and Miller get older and Panarin's no longer there, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's worrying. It's making the Metro even worse, and
Hmm.
I can't really see this is good for the Islanders and the Columbus Blue Jackets that can make it an extra step in regards to the ladder in the Metro.
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the Shesterkin thing because he's at a prime age. He's in his prime years, and this Rangers team is probably going to need to go down the path of a full blown rebuild. In the next, even as early as this season, they may need to make a call on that. And I guess that moves me to my question for you is, um, it's a big one. It's around Panarin. Do the New York Rangers look to move Panarin on if they're only a few points out of the playoffs or just holding on to a wild card spot? So this is like they're not like bottom of the barrel because I think if they're bottom of the barrel, unless he decides to resign, they move him on. But I'm
Mm.
talking they're just in a wild card spot or they're just out of a wild card spot. Do you think the Rangers make the call to move him on or to hold on?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if they have the balls to do it, and being such a loved player and stuff, and you're basically throwing in the season, then question marks will be around Shesterkin at that point too, and whatnot, because you don't want to be in a rebuilding team for 8 years, like in your prime.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if they have the gun ho to do it, though they have moved Kreider and or was the other ones, the ex captains,
Uh,
etc.
add
Like that,
Trouba.
Trouba, like they've moved some big names from this team already. He does have a no move clause, so he might not even do it, but
Mm.
I doubt it. And I would. I just don't know if they will make that call. I don't think they
Mhm.
will. I think they'll be like, this is our last season, we have to go for it.
Mm. Yeah, see, that's what worries me if I was a Rangers fan as well, that they don't. I mean, look, they moved Kreider on, they moved Trouba on, they've shown that they can disengage themselves from the emotional part of it. Uh, but yeah, I think if they've got a glimpse of a chance to make the playoffs, I think they make the wrong call. Because for me, the only way I'm personally holding on to Panarin is if A, he's re-signed before the deadline, or B, we are out and out in the top three of the Metro, and we think that we're a true chance to win.
Mm.
Because if the Rangers don't feel like they're in that position, or even if they are in a playoff spot, but they don't feel like they're strong enough to win it, and they're just holding on to that wild card spot, in my opinion, you got to pull the pin on. Like, he is way too valuable of a player. You can retain half of his salary, and the return you would get on him is going to be, yes, ultimately it probably means that you are accepting that you're about to go into a rebuild, which I know, would probably hurt a lot of Rangers fans out there, but you would essentially be accepting that you're going into a rebuild retool. But
Yeah.
you can't let a
The,
player like him go for nothing.
I think you have to trade, even if you're in the playoffs, purely because I don't think this team's built for playoffs. It's too small. Like Panarin small, Lafreniere, Adam Fox. You could probably even Zibanejad with his defense. Like it's not built for playoffs. That even if you make the playoffs, you're going to do anything in it.
Yep.
And
And
so
conveniently, the two players that were built for playoffs, they've
yeah,
moved on. So
yeah. So I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot in that regard. Like they're not no longer built for playoffs if they make it. And yeah, so I feel like you have to move him,
Mhm.
even if you are in a playoff spot, because I don't think you're doing anything in the playoffs because this team is just not built for it. Um, and it would have to take some big moves like trading Zabinajad and maybe like moving Trocheck or something like some big moves that cap space and other players come in. But yeah, I don't see it. I can't see them doing anything. I think it's
Mm.
bad times ahead for this organization. They're kind of following the same path as kind of like a Pittsburgh Penguins and stuff, or a Philadelphia, where like they have to do the rebuild. And yeah, hopefully they don't do a Vancouver or something, or what they did a few years ago, and just say, you know what, we can do a retool. I do think there's a rebuild that needs to be happened here. I think they can fast track it with like Lafreniere and stuff, but it has to happen. I think.
Mm. Yeah, I think they can turn it around quick enough, but this is where they've got to make that big call and get the assets for the players that they've got, which means moving on Panarin, moving on Zabinajad for what you can get, moving on Trocheck for what you can get, um, potentially even moving on JT Miller, because JT Miller is going to get you some pretty,
I think you have to
a
move them
pretty
all. Like they're
hefty
all 32 plus. I,
exactly, like
I
they're
I
not going
think
to be
anyone over
part of it.
30, you're kind of moving on.
Mm.
And
And I know that
yeah,
sounds crazy, but like I could see them, sorry, keeping Shesterkin if they move on those players to sort of bring in some assets, bring in some young prospects, bring in something they can put in. They've obviously still got all three of their next three first round picks this season, plus Carolina's first round pick as well. So they're going to be able to bring in some decent prospects. New York is a destination team as well. So obviously
yeah.
being an original
I
six
think I
team,
think there's a big fan base push though that they would never go full rebuild. I think that's being the New York Rangers, I don't see them ever going in a rebuild in a sense because
yeah,
the
they
fan base
they
would
don't
always
want to
be
see him
pushing for
bottom.
success and stuff. So
They don't want to see him bottom out. But I
yeah,
think that's your quickest way out of this is get yourself be bad for 2 seasons, get yourself some decent prospects, trade out some of these players to bring in some assets, and hit your free agency. Get a couple of prospects and players that you can build around. Give a couple of free agents a reason to come, and then in like 3 seasons time, I think they can sort of flip it enough, especially with Shesterkin. Adam Fox is still going to be there. They've got a couple other young defenders there as well. So I think they've still got enough young talent that if they do it right and do it quick, they can turn it around. But they've got to go hard about it. I know there's probably a lot of Rangers fans out there with a lot more optimism than what we've got. And don't get us wrong, like we would love to see the Rangers team turn it around and bounce back and have one last crack at it for Panarin, unless he obviously resigns. I think Shesterkin's an absolute superstar and he's
Mm.
a playoff
I want to
god.
see Shesterkin win, like lift the
A
cup,
hundred percent,
and
a
Panarin
hundred percent.
lift the cup. They're my
He's
two.
he's
That I would really like to see lift the cup.
he's a playoff god. So yeah, like we would 100% love to see them bounce back. We just personally can't see it happening unless that top six just plays out of their mind,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah, it's not looking good. But yeah, let us know what you think of the Rangers below. Do you think playoffs? It is a weaker Metro, so maybe they can do that. But do they do anything in the playoffs if they do make it? And yeah, let us know what you think of our analysis and talks. Leave a comment below. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other content. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.
See you guys.